The 2012 470 European Championship started yesterday. The top European crews are all here, competing in a very demanding environment. In the first day of the championship, they were faced with tricky weather and winds from 5 to 15 knots, and it got very stormy towards the end. Today, the weather worsened with torrential rain. Welcome back again to Largs for the second day of the Europeans, hosted by the Largs Sailing Club. The sailors were focused on preparing their gear. Some boats had sustained damage from yesterday's storm. Equipment repair, preparation and checking is critical in sailing, particularly when the strong winds add to the pressure. The championship is tough and they all know it. The day started with some good weather, with the sun trying to come through over the Scottish port town. The teams were eyeing up the start line before the start and just running through pre-start preparation. 48 teams, men and women, are here to lay claim to the 470 European Championship, and with 7 days of racing, will give it all until the very end. First to start with the women, with the teams from Croatia and Slovenia at the pin end. Same for Coatar and Carrero of Italy, as well as for Kisane and Tidy from Ireland. All of them decided to sail the left side of the course heading towards the island of Cumbrae, opposite Largs. Would they benefit from the shifts near the shore? During the outer loop, the cloudy weather gave way to heavy storms. However, the Slovenians remained in first place. Bad news, however, for the Irish pair and for Bohm and Goltzer from Germany. They were both behind 8th position at the moment, while some other sailors would face severe problems during rounding the gate. The end of the race found the Slovenians first with a safe lead, so they decided to sail safe at the last reach, lowering the spinnaker before rounding the mark. A few metres behind were Bachmann and Panutska, as well as Ninčević and Zupan, with Venglen and Ainsworth 7th. Lemita and Retonars were just behind. Back to the men's fleet and race 3. There, the majority of the sailors chose the committee boat end. It would be a tough race with the storm fast approaching. Nobody could predict the favourable side. A few seconds after the start, the Germans were heading to the left side near the island, while Bennen and Weegers decided to tack. Same for Fantella and Marinec. Would this pay off? The end of the race found Gers and Folman on top. Canada's Olympic team of Ramsey and Lee second, while the Brits and the Croatians were 7th and 11th respectively. The results weren't so good for the overnight leaders. However, Saxton and Mason were still first in the overall ranking. The second race for both fleets would be a tough one. The light rain turned out to become a heavy storm, with the girls sailing in a 20 knots breeze in their outer loop. Mrak and Cern were once again unstoppable, with Veggelin and Ainsworth finishing second. Same good performance for the French team and the Russians. In the men's fleet, the top 3 in the overall ranking were now packed together while approaching the downwind mark before finishing. The Croatians were sailing in the middle, with Mason and Saxton sailing windward. However, the fastest at the moment were Switzerland's Brachley and Hauser, and they were now first with the Croatians on their heels. But the Brits would not give up that easily either, so they waited until the right moment to strike back. However, the Croatians managed to score a bullet at this race, and the Brits had to settle for second place. After 2 races for both fleets, it was time to head to the shore, with the breeze reaching 30 knots. All sailors were quite exhausted and cold, and would need some rest ready for day 3. Let's have a quick look at the results. While the top 3 have some safe distance in between them, the places from 5th to 8th are still too close. In the women's fleet, the Slovenians are leading, with the Germans, British and the Croatians. But there are still 5 days to go, so stay tuned.